3 terrifying stories that will haunt your dreams. The House in the Woods. The House in the Woods. Michael had always loved hiking, so when he found an abandoned house deep in the woods, curiosity got the best of him. The house was ancient, its wooden walls covered in moss, its windows shattered. The front door stood slightly ajar, as if inviting him in. Stepping inside, he was met with silence so deep it felt unnatural. The air was heavy with the scent of damp wood and decay. Dust swirled in the dim light filtering through the broken windows. As he wandered through the empty rooms, he noticed something odd: furniture covered in white sheets, as if someone had left in a hurry, expecting to return. Then he saw the staircase. Something about it made his stomach churn. The wooden steps led up into darkness. But it was what was at the bottom of the stairs that sent ice through his veins. Footprints in the dust, leading up, but never coming down. A sudden noise made him freeze. A soft creak from upstairs. Michael's breath itched. He turned to leave, but then he heard it again, a slow, deliberate step. His rational mind screamed at him to run, but his feet carried him toward the staircase instead. He ascended, each step groaning beneath his weight. At the top, a long hallway stretched before him, doors lining either side. He reached for the nearest door and pushed it open. Inside was a bedroom, untouched by time. A large bed sat in the center, the sheets perfectly smooth, but something was wrong. The closet door was open just a crack, revealing pure blackness inside. Then it moved. A pale, emaciated hand reached out, its fingers impossibly long, stretching toward him. A raspy breath echoed from the closet's depths. Michael stumbled backward, but before he could move, the closet door swung wide, revealing something that had no right to exist. A figure impossibly tall and thin, with hollow, soulless eyes, emerged. Michael turned and bolted. He flew down the stairs, his heart hammering against his ribs. But as he reached the front door, he stopped dead in his tracks. The furniture was uncovered. The sheets were gone. The room looked lived in. A fire crackled in the fireplace. A dinner table was set for 2. And then he heard it, a voice behind him, no louder than a whisper. "You shouldn't have come." The last thing Michael saw was a pair of skeletal hands wrapping around his shoulders before the darkness swallowed him whole. The last room. The lost room. Emily had lived in her apartment for 3 years before she discovered the hidden door. It was tucked away behind an old bookshelf, its frame blending perfectly with the wall. When she finally pried it open, she was met with a long, dark hallway that shouldn't have existed. It stretched far beyond the dimensions of her apartment. Her pulse quickened as she stepped inside. The walls were lined with old, faded wallpaper, curling at the edges. A single light bulb flickered overhead, casting sickly yellow light over the space. Then she saw them. Framed photographs lined the walls, dozens of them. Each one was of a person standing in that very hallway, their expressions frozen in terror. Some looked decades old, their faces faded and gray, but the last photo made her stomach drop. It was her, taken from behind. It showed her standing exactly where she was at that moment, Before she could react, a cold breath brushed against the back of her neck. The light bulb flickered and died. The door slammed shut, and the hallway stretched even further into the darkness. The last guest of the night. The last guest of the night. There was an old hotel, lost deep in a desolate forest on the outskirts of town. It had been abandoned for years, and no one dared to go near it. The locals claimed they heard strange whispers at night and saw shadows moving inside, but Emily, a journalist from the city, didn't believe in such stories. She decided to visit the hotel to write an article. Around midnight, she grabbed her flashlight and pushed open the hotel's door. Strangely, it was unlocked, as if someone had been expecting her. As soon as she stepped inside, the musty scent of mold and rotting wood filled her lungs. Her footsteps echoed through the silence, making her feel as if someone was following her. She approached the reception desk and found an old guest book covered in dust. The last entry read, "The last guest of the night." Was this some kind of joke? She didn't understand, but suddenly the pages of the book began turning on their own. A faint scratching noise came from behind her. She spun around, but there was no one there. Determined to explore further, she climbed the creaking wooden staircase. As she reached the second floor, she noticed a door slightly ajar. Inside, an old cradle sat in the center of the room. A shadowy figure, faceless and motionless, was sitting inside it. Her heartbeat pounded in her ears as she took a step back. A whisper echoed through the hallway. "Too late, ... you belong here now, ... Emily's flashlight flickered, then went out completely before coming back on. That was when she realized the entrance door was gone. It had vanished into the wall. There was no way out. A cold hand suddenly touched her shoulder. She screamed, but her voice made no sound. She was now the last guest of the night. Panicking, Emily ran through the endless hallways, each turn leading her back to where she started. She glanced at her watch, realizing time had stopped moving. Suddenly, a door creaked open, revealing a dimly lit room filled with eerie, childlike laughter. Stepping inside, she found the walls covered in old newspaper clippings. Each article told the story of a person who had mysteriously vanished in the hotel. At the bottom of the display was her own photograph. The date was today. Her breath caught in her throat. She turned around, hoping to escape, but the hallway was gone. Now there was only this room. The darkness thickened, and the figure in the cradle slowly rose to its feet, moving toward her. Emily screamed, but once again no sound came out. Outside, a hunter passing through the forest swore he saw the terrified eyes of a young woman staring out from the hotel's window. But that was impossible. The hotel had been abandoned for years. No one could be inside.